They laughed when he started, ignored him when he struggled, mocked him when he failed. But the moment he won, suddenly everyone cared. Why is it that silence surrounds the grind, but applause erupts at success? This is the harsh truth about success. Nobody cares until you win. In a world obsessed with overnight success, we often forget the silent battles fought in the shadows. Behind every triumph lies a story of struggle, rejection, isolation, and relentless hard work. Yet, the world rarely notices the pain behind the progress. They only celebrate the victory. Why do people only show up when you've already crossed the finish line? Today, we're diving into the untold reality of what it truly means to work in silence. Through powerful stories and eye-opening truths, you'll discover why the silence is not a weakness, but a necessary path to greatness. Let's uncover the truth. It always starts the same way, alone, in a quiet room, with nothing but a dream. The world outside is loud, filled with distractions, opinions, and noise. But inside that quiet room, someone is working, not for applause, not for likes or recognition, but because something inside refuses to quit. Picture this: a young athlete rising before dawn, long before the stadium lights ever turn on. It's cold, his muscles ache, and no one's watching. There are no cameras, no cheering crowds, just the rhythmic sound of shoes pounding against the pavement and the steady beat of determination. His friends are still asleep. Social media is silent, but he runs anyway. Or think of the entrepreneur who spends sleepless nights building a business from nothing. Her laptop glows in the darkness, spreadsheets and ideas scattered across her desk. She's failed before, more times than she can count, but she gets up and tries again. Her phone doesn't buzz with encouragement. Her circle doesn't understand her hustle. She's alone in her fight, fueled by a vision no one else can see. And then there's the artist, painting in a dimly lit basement, pouring emotions onto a blank canvas. His work isn't seen, liked, or shared. Critics haven't noticed him. Galleries don't call, and money doesn't come. But he keeps creating, not for fame, but because the art lives within him. This is the reality of silent work. It's not glamorous. It doesn't trend. No one posts about it. And yet, it's the most important part of any success story. It's the foundation, the training ground, the unseen battlefield where real growth happens. Silence becomes the companion of those who chase greatness. It's uncomfortable, even painful at times. Doubts creep in. Loneliness settles like dust in the corners. But in that very silence, something magical happens. Focus sharpens, grit forms, and true identity is built. The world doesn't see the sacrifices, the failures, the long hours, or the private tears. It doesn't see the nights spent questioning everything, or the mornings that begin with nothing but stubborn hope. The spotlight isn't there, yet. And that's the point. Every champion, every legend, every so-called overnight success started with years of unnoticed struggle. The silence is not the absence of progress. It is the proof of it. This is where the story begins. In the shadows, away from praise. Because before the world cares, you must first care enough to keep going when no one's watching. But here's where it gets interesting. This silence isn't just about isolation. It's a test, a filter, a place where most people give up. The truth is, many never make it out of this phase. Why? Because the silence can be deafening. It messes with your mind. You begin to question everything. Is this even worth it? Will anyone ever notice? Am I just wasting time? This is where most dreams quietly die, not because of failure, but because of neglect. The world never discouraged them. It simply ignored them. And that silence can be more brutal than hate. But those who make it through, they've cracked a hidden code. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was a single mother living on welfare, rejected by 12 publishers. Not one of them saw her potential. Not one. Imagine the silence she faced. writing in cafes, clutching a dream only she believed in. And yet, she wrote, in silence, until one publisher finally said yes, and the world suddenly cared. Or consider Colonel Sanders. He was 65 years old, living in his car, rejected over 1,000 times while trying to sell his fried chicken recipe. People laughed, dismissed him, but he didn't stop. He worked in silence until he didn't have to anymore. Now his face is on restaurants in over 150 countries. These stories aren't rare because people lack talent. They're rare because few are willing to endure the quiet. Here's the twist. The silence is actually your greatest ally. It protects you from premature judgment, from envy, from sabotage. It gives you space to grow without interference. While the world is busy watching distractions and chasing trends, you are building something real. That's the secret. The silence isn't empty. It's full of preparation. Even scientifically, this idea holds weight. Studies show that people perform better when working privately without external pressure. The social facilitation effect suggests that too much attention too soon can actually damage performance. In other words, working in silence isn't just poetic, it's smart. But most never see this. They crave validation too early. They post every move, seeking likes instead of mastery. And when the recognition doesn't come, they stop. But those who stay silent, they're sharpening their swords in the dark. And when they finally step into the light, they don't just show up, they dominate. Because by the time the world notices, it's already too late to ignore them. The silence didn't break them, it built them. And then, suddenly, it happens. After months or years of grinding in silence, something shifts, a breakthrough, a moment that changes everything. The same people who doubted you now want to be associated with your name. The same crowd that scrolled past your work now can't stop sharing it. The silence is shattered, but not because the world got kinder. It's because you finally became too loud to ignore. That young athlete, he gets the call. He's made the national team. Overnight, the same classmates who mocked his early morning runs are now posting about how they always believed in him. His highlight reel goes viral. Reporters flood in. Sponsors offer deals. But what they don't see is the years of sweat that made that moment possible. That entrepreneur. After 39 rejections from investors, one says yes. Her startup explodes. Now she's on magazine covers. Podcasts line up for her story. She's praised as a visionary. But no one was there during the nights she cried over bills, questioned her worth, and fought to hold her dream together with duct tape and caffeine. That artist in the basement. A collector stumbles upon one of his pieces. Suddenly, a gallery wants to feature him. One post later, and he's hailed as a creative genius. Interviews, exhibits, critics raving about his emerging voice. But no one cared when he was painting in the dark, broke, alone, wondering if he'd ever sell a single piece. This is the moment we all fantasize about, the win. But what makes it powerful isn't just the applause. It's knowing what it cost. Because behind every success story, there's a graveyard of silent nights, unanswered emails, invisible progress, and quiet persistence. The world is quick to praise the outcome, but forgets to respect the journey. And when they finally say, "You're lucky," they don't realize that luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. And preparation, that was built in the silence. Now the tables have turned. The same silence that once felt like a curse becomes your advantage. Because while they were busy talking, you were building. While they waited for approval, you trained. And while they looked for shortcuts, you mastered your craft. Now the silence has become your story, and your victory is the roar they can't ignore. They finally care. But now, you don't need them to. Because you didn't win for them. You won for you. So remember this. The world may not clap when you start, but that doesn't mean you're not on the right path. Work in silence, build in the dark, and let your success be your voice. Because when the moment comes, And it will. They won't ask how. They'll ask when. If this story lit a fire in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe for more powerful stories that push you to grow in silence and rise with purpose. Like, share, and comment your journey, because even if no one sees it now, your time is coming. Stay focused. Stay silent. Keep building.